So welcome back to another video. As a transgender woman living in America, I find this individual highly disturbing and dangerous to the transgender community. We are going to cover a few of the things that they've said in the past, but we're also going to cover something more recently, and we're going to cover that first. And I feel like it takes the cake as far as something that's just grotesque. So I'm going to break it down. We're of course talking about Nancy Mace. Nancy is a 48-year-old Republican congresswoman representing South Carolina's 1st District. She has served in Congress since 2021, sits on major committees including Armed Services and Oversight, and made history as the first woman to graduate the Citadel Corps of Cadets. She's been married and divorced twice and has 2 children. Most recently, she's attempted to become governor of South Carolina and finished 5th place out of 5. Sharing similarities with Riley Gaines, going anti-transgender just doesn't seem to make any public figure get ahead, but here we are. So hi, welcome. The first thing I want to talk about is the trans UCF student arrest body cam footage that went viral. This is going to tie in everything. So we have Night News here. And this clip has gone around the internet. It's been making its rounds. And a lot of people are leaving comments saying, "It's ma'am," in all capitals. Leaving other whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. As of July 17th, 2026, the body cam footage was released showing an arrest of UCF student Jarrett Preston Vick at downtown campus affiliating housing Union West. The arrest happened back in February 5th, 2025. Officers originally entered the building to investigate an alleged car theft, but left with an arrest unrelated to their initial intentions. Officer Michael Rivera filed a police report stating he responded to a verbal disturbance at Union West during his patrol at downtown campus. The footage, however, etc., right? Basically where this leads is the student had a bit of a breakdown moment, and they were saying, "It's ma'am." Like the officer kept saying, "Sir, you need to calm down." And they're like, "It's ma'am." And then the officer ends up getting like, "Okay, I'm going to like get my pepper spray out," kind of thing. Vicks pled not guilty to all 3 charges on March 27, 2025. The charges were battery on a law enforcement officer to the 3rd degree, resisting an officer without violence in the 1st degree, and disorderly conduct in the 2nd degree. As of right now, the footage is 10 minutes long on YouTube and has sparked massive controversy online, with debates circulating how the officer handled the confrontation, the issue of mental health, and expectations of universities today regarding similar crises. So there's no further details on this as of right now, but this has become quite an enormous like thing amongst like the trans community, just as far as like what's going on. And yeah, so it's been a bit of a scary kind of time, right? As far as like what's, the takeaway of this, the reason why I bring it up is because Nancy Mace has made a post recently that it's just not really that great. It's not really that great of a look. And this is on their Facebook. And this is the reason why back in the day I thought it's not a good look for like whenever 4chan gets to the main, front of people's attention, because this is a post a sitting member of Congress left about this incident. He did the meme. And if you notice, there's a song attached, Bittersweet Symphony. So largely laugh reacts, right? This is something that's celebrated. This is something that Nancy is celebrating. It just seems like, oh, haha, funny thing happened, I just, oh, ha 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 moment, right? Nancy just loves it. It's not a good look. And honestly, it's enough for me to want to talk about this whole issue right here. The other thing that I need to get into real quick is Nancy used to be supportive of LGBTQ issues. In 21 to 22, she strongly supported LGBTQ equality, backed religious liberty, compromise bill containing sexual orientation and gender identity protections, and voted for final respect for Marriage Act, protecting federal recognition of same-sex marriage. In 2023, she called herself pro-transgender rights and pro-LGBTQ, but her records were already mixed. She supported adults transitioning, and this was 2023, and minors changing clothing, names, and pronouns while opposing medical transition for minors. She also voted to exclude transgender girls and women from female school sports. So then in September 2024, her policy language became substantially harsher. She included the Childhood Gender Mutilation Prevention Act, using inflammatory language while seeking federal restrictions on transgender-related treatment for minors. And it's just gotten worse since then. November 2024, after Sarah McBride became the first openly trans person elected in Congress, Mace introduced a Capitol bathroom restriction and admitted it was absolutely directed at McBride. Her rhetoric became much more personal, confrontational, and focused on transgender women. It's kind of like an obsession even. So it just became more and more, and so we're going to our next article. This is from The Advocate, and this is Transgender Woman Terrorized After South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace Mocks Her Online. And so this is somebody that I've mentioned on the channel before. And this is someone that goes by the name Saber or Bottleneck Loser. If you're trans on Facebook, you may recognize her videos. She does nothing but help the trans community. She's 23 years old at the point of this happening. So we could go through the list, but here's the screenshot of it. So for context of what's happening in this article, basically in a nutshell, it's Saber posted on social media this picture that says, "God, I love estrogen." Mace reposted from their official Congress account with "Estrogen doesn't love you." Minutes later, Mace reposted them to their personal account, tagged RFK Jr. and questioned Saber's health. Another anti-trans influencer, Becky Weiss, subsequently asked followers about Saber's workplace, school district, address, and phone number. Saber reported death threats, harassment, and attempts to identify where she lived and worked. Saber also alleged that Mace encouraged people seeking her personal information in the replies. So you don't have to take my word for it. We can literally just kind of, go back into the article and just kind of like, there's this little clip right here that I want to play.
I had such a glow up on HRT that I am now officially an enemy of the state. Nancy Mace, the current representative for South Carolina and the same person who yelled slurs in Congress, is bullying me for being hot on Twitter. She also did it on her personal account and is trying to get Robert Kennedy to do something about me. A sitting member of the United States government went onto a random citizen's Twitter account to bully them on a transition timeline they posted a month ago on her official Twitter account. In the United States of America, if you glow up, they will hate you.
So, just like, Saber's words, not mine, right? Just to show you what kind of happened here, right? So, like I said, I'm just covering what I feel is important to talk about, right? But it's not only that, because there's a whole other story that's totally different than this. That this happened on April 11th, 2025. Nancy Mace spoke at an Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition, a conservative Christian political event, according to the Des Moines Register, and reported by them. Mace asked the audience, "Can I say anti-trans slur? Can I say it 3 times?" She then reportedly repeated it an additional 3 times with the audience laughing and cheering. She said she would never apologize for opposing transgender rights because, in her words, women were created by God. It's tiring, right? It's a lot. So we're just going to go to the very next thing, right? The very next thing is something that, again, Nancy seems to be awfully proud of. Nancy Mace calls transgender student a transphobic slur at University of South Carolina event. A 20-year-old trans woman asked Nancy Mace to apologize for using a transphobic slur. Mace responded by calling the woman the slur. So mature, right? I mean, but this is what I'm saying, that this is basically the confrontation that ended up happening. And if you don't want to take my word for it, here's the official Nancy Mace site, or Nancy Mace Twitter. You don't want me to say X, do you? I'm not going to use their, preferred name. My security thought this guy was going to throw this plan at me. This guy in a dress wanted me to apologize for using the word babe. Told him no, that I didn't care if he was offended, and then I dropped the word fast. Look what happened next. I can only play so much of this with the audio on because there's some copyright music in the background, but we're going to play this clip.
Does your husband call you babe? I'm not married. Okay, so even better. And I don't care. Okay, so I would like for you to apologize. But
so, as that other article reported, literally doing exactly the same thing. Very mature behavior. And so the trans woman does drop their voice to a deeper guy voice after she asks if it's, predatory, and they're like, of course it is. So like, what do you expect? It's not like the clips literally speak for themselves. I'm trying to bring attention to what's happening here because Nancy Mace also seems to have like this fixation on what is a woman. And there's this movie in 2022 presented by conservative political commentator Matt Walsh. It seems like between these next two clips, it was a year and a fourth of a year and 3 months, that she still doesn't know what a woman is. So we're just going to play two more clips. And these are this is from a hearing with sanctuary state governors. This was during the ICE incidents. This was June 12th, 2025. So the website is oversight.house.gov. This is 4 hours, 54 minutes, and 15 seconds into this.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well, that.
What
Okay.
do you want me to say? This is
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I mean, what do I like? I could do commentary on this, but like, what do I really even say about it? It's just more of the same, attitude. It's more of the same kind of childish behavior. What is a woman? What is a woman? But here's another entire clip. And this was just a few days ago, July 21st, 2026. Now she's talking to the Smithsonian, Dr. Anthea Hardig, and so this is another clip of just same.
Do you believe that men can become women?
ma'am, as the director of the museum, that's not relevant in this case.
It's very relevant. You've got men dressed up as women, and you have them on displays in front of kids. Do you think men can become women, yes or no?
So RuPaul's Drag Race, which is the upper...
It's a man. RuPaul is a man who dresses like a woman, literally.
Correct.
What is a woman, Dr. Hartig?
As a director and as a historian, it's not my opportunity.
You sexualize the American History Museum. So this is a fair question. What is a woman?
So at the museum...
What is a woman?
We strive to represent and not categorize all Americans.
Okay, I have another question for you.
That's all we're really covering from this. And for context on this clip, it has to do with RuPaul Drag Race memorabilia at the museum for sale kind of thing. And I mean, Pride Month was just last month for the timeline of when this was filmed. So I'd imagine that's probably the context of this. So anyway, it's a lot of fun stuff, right? It's a lot of fun stuff. There was a quote from Nancy Mace. She started saying Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, in October 28th, 2025. And so, you know, it's just all of this going on. And the reason why I'm talking about this and the reason why I'm bringing such attention on this is this language turns violent. It doesn't need to have her call for violence upon us. But when we say men and women's sports, when we nullify the existence of trans women, and are we protecting women, or are we going out of our way to harass trans women and take enjoyment out of it? Because that's what I'm seeing. I don't know what you're seeing from these clips, but that's what I'm seeing. I do want to end off on this, that this is the president of Indonesia has classified the LGBTQ community as non-military threat. Multiple harassments and attacks on the LGBTQ folks, especially trans women, broke out in various cities in Indonesia. These attacks are conducted by violent groups who now feel emboldened to commit these crimes. It's just a matter of feeling like it's okay to get away with this. And the more this rhetoric is spread, the more trans women are erased, the more this seems more societally acceptable. There's a serious danger to this rhetoric. They know what they're doing. The other thing that I want to talk about real quick is, you know, the trans women murder statistics. It's something that's largely not reported on super well. We don't have all the data and the evidence together. So tracking these type of cases in the United States is difficult because the data is often incomplete. Many incidents suffer from initial misgendering or dead naming by law enforcement or media data. Organizations rely on community reporting, local news, and family statements rather than single centralized real-time federal database. And the demographic risk is historical and ongoing data shows that transgender women, particularly trans women of color, face a disproportionate risk of fatal violence. I don't think that this rhetoric that's being spread is helpful. So the other thing that we need to talk about is Nancy hasn't stopped. Nancy has recently been celebrating some of the things going on in this article here. This is regards to the National Defense Authorization Act, the fiscal year 2027 funding bill. It passed the House. It didn't pass the Senate yet. There can be changes still. But the bill includes funding for South Carolina military installations and changes affecting the military healthcare readiness and personal policies. So what do you think the National Defense Authorization Act would include? Well, Mace's office also highlighted provisions that would prohibit transgender girls from competing in girls' sports at Department of Defense Education activity schools and prohibit TRICARE from covering certain gender-related medical procedures. Certain gender-related medical procedures, including but not limited to hormone labs, blood work, just to make sure that you maintain a healthy and sane body and mind throughout your transition. So I have to end the video with this. I do have to ask Nancy a question personally. Nancy, if you're watching this, whenever a trans woman ends up murdered and you see that in the news, when you see the news article, do you read it and then do you play Bittersweet Symphony? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no question. Can you answer that one for me?